Good afternoon and welcome to the May 2020 Virtual Chamber Luncheon. We're excited to have you here today and to be a part of the program that we have available. I know a lot of you are going through some tough times right now, and as we see the economy open back up, the Chamber's here to help you. So there's different resources that we have available. There's different programs that are available, and we would be happy for you to reach out to us and call Brad or one of the board members, and we would be happy to help you navigate through what's going on right now. The good news is it seems like things are starting to open back up, and we're going to see here in the next few months, hopefully your business will start to prosper again and be ready to go from there. This month we have a sponsor of Atria is our primary sponsor, with E-Town Tourism as our secondary sponsor. So we're still giving out door prizes for these. So what you can do is like, share, or comment during this live feed, and you will be entered into the drawing. We have some great prizes, so hopefully you'll do that and just keep communicating throughout the live broadcast. Also, something Kerr Workplace Solutions is doing is we have a mask program with the Chamber. We're selling surgical masks for $55. That includes your tax and shipping. We do have these in stock. They're ready to ship immediately, and $5 of that's going back to the Chamber. The reason we're doing this is the Chamber has so many programs that we count on for funding, like the luncheons and like the golf scramble and things like that we're not able to do right now. So we felt a way to help supplement our budget at the Chamber is to donate $5 to every mask sale that goes back. So we're excited about that. So you can call our office or go online and or contact the Chamber. We'd be happy to get you going with those. So with all that said, again, welcome today, and with that, I'll turn it over to Brad, our Chamber President.
Thank you, Brian, and good afternoon, everyone. We've got a good program for you. We're looking forward to hearing from Ashli Watts, the new President and CEO of the Kentucky State Chamber of Commerce. By the way, one of only 5 women state chamber presidents across the United States. That's coming up shortly. Before that, though, we want to introduce 3 of our new members. And I also want to speak briefly about an initiative that occurred this last Sunday at Hardin Memorial Hospital. And in honor of Hospital Week, an annual celebration of hospitals and healthcare systems and all of those folks that work to help our communities stay healthy, we commissioned a piece of chalk art by local artists Jason Kerr and Carla Wallace to thank the Hardin Memorial Health physicians, nurses, administration, and staff for everything they're doing to help keep us safe and healthy in our region and community. And the nearly 700 businesses and organizations that comprise the Hardin County Chamber of Commerce realize how fortunate we are to have Hardin Memorial Health as a huge part of our community. So we hope this piece of art in a small way shows our gratefulness and gratitude for all of the frontline healthcare workers, to just tell them how much we appreciate what it is that they're doing on a day-to-day basis, because so many of us probably can't fully appreciate or understand what it is that they're going through. So thank you all very much for what you do, and thank you, Jason and Carla, for your good work. Next, we want to introduce our 3 new members. And our first new member is Water's Edge Winery and Bistro of Elizabethtown. And the Watkins family is excited to bring Elizabethtown its first winery. It's Water's Edge Winery and Bistro of E-Town. The wine is made from grapes from areas that include California, Germany, Italy, and France. Their wine is produced and bottled here at the E-Town location. Their bistro will offer a variety of food selections for lunch and dinner while enjoying your favorite glass or bottle of wine. Come in, relax, and enjoy a great atmosphere with family and friends while winemaking, tasting, bottling, and drinking. That's pretty cool. Here in Elizabethtown, we're going to have a winery. That is Water's Edge Winery and Bistro of E-Town. Our next new member is Supreme Lending, and they're at 400 Ring Road, Suite 176 in Elizabethtown, and it's one of the most respected mortgage bankers, established in 1999 by Scott Everett. Having an extensive business and mortgage background, Mr. Everett has secured the respect of mortgage professionals and is committed to attracting not only the most professional loan officers, but also the most cutting-edge loan products. Supreme continues to grow by adding branches, loan officers, and support staff throughout the United States. With their ever expanding branch network and expert mortgage professionals, they take pride in offering their customers a wide variety of loan products and are committed to helping them achieve their dream of home ownership. That is Supreme Lending. And our third new member is Girl Scouts of Kentucky, Hardin, PLC. Didn't know this. Maybe the Girl Scout folks do, but their journey began more than 100 years ago with the original GIRL, and that was Juliet Gordon Daisy Lowe. On March 12, 1912, in Savannah, Georgia, she organized the very first Girl Scout troop, and ever since then, they have honored her vision and legacy, building girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. They are the preeminent leadership development organization for girls, and with programs from coast to coast and across the globe, Girl Scouts offer every girl a chance to practice a lifetime of leadership, adventure, and success. Their mission is to build girls of confidence and character who make the world a better place. And they also make some pretty awesome cookies. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Girl Scouts of Kentucky, Heartland. Our speaker today is Miss Ashli Watts. And last September, the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce named Ashli Watts of Frankfort as president and CEO of the state's largest business association after an 8-month national search. She took office on November the 1st, succeeding Dave Atkinson, who had been the president and CEO for 15 years upon his retirement. She was previously the senior vice president of public affairs for the chamber, where she led the organization's successful advocacy efforts on behalf of initiatives ranging from workers' compensation reform to right to work to felony records expungement that helps people return to the workforce. Ashli is a native of Elizabethtown. She holds a bachelor's degree in political science and history and a master's degree in public policy and administration from the University of Louisville. Prior to joining the Kentucky Chamber in 2012, she worked for the Kentucky Bar Association and the Legislative Research Commission. She is active in the National Council of State Chambers and recently graduated from the U.S. Chambers Institute for Organizational Management. Last May, she was awarded the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award by Campbellsville University when she was their commencement speaker. And she is a board member of Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky. She and her husband Ryan have 2 children. Ladies and gentlemen, Ashli Watts. Good afternoon, Ashli.
Good afternoon. Thanks for
Yes.
having me.
Thank you for joining us. And before we get into some Q&A about everything that's going on, thank you to your staff and the outstanding work that they've been doing. I mean, it has been just incredible, the amount of information, the timeliness of the information. So we've been passing that on to not only our memberships, but to the community. And it's been very helpful. So thank you for all that you all are doing for everybody, actually, in the state of Kentucky. And I wore my state of Kentucky tie in
Yay.
honor of our Kentucky Chamber. So
Well, thank you. We're trying to help however we can, wherever businesses need us. That's where we're going to be. So, about 2 months ago, we kind of shifted our entire mission of the chamber just to help businesses get through this time. But I'm really proud of the staff and the work we've been able to do the last couple of months.
It's been fantastic. So, for the viewers, what we're going to do here is we're going to ask Ashli for some updates on a number of issues that actually have come from the governor's office, that have come from the Kentucky Chamber, who've been helping the governor and his team to frame some of these issues. And it changes pretty much every day, does it not?
By the hour, usually.
Yeah, there you go. So on Sunday, Governor Beshear released an executive order detailing the final requirements all businesses must follow as they reopen. What requirements have changed since the initial announcement? And that's a lot, I guess. His Healthy at Work initiative, and where can businesses go to find those sector-specific guidelines for their organizations?
So we know yesterday was kind of day one of phase one of Healthy at Work. And about a little over a week ago, the governor kind of put forth requirements that all businesses would have to meet before they could reopen. And that actually applies to those essential businesses that have already been operating the last 2 months. They also had to comply with all these requirements as of yesterday. So I will give Governor Beshear and his team a lot of credit. They have worked very closely with the Kentucky Chamber. And when we saw the requirements come out, there were some questions, concerns, some modifications that we wanted to have made. And so we put together a little task force of industry-specific business leaders across Kentucky to make recommendations to the requirements, to make sure that people are kept safe, but that's also practicable for business to continue to operate or reopen. And I would say about 90% of what we've requested is now reflected in the document that was put out yesterday for the business reopening. And so they were very responsive to us, and we had a lot of our larger manufacturers, our distillers, small businesses, everyone in between, really give some great recommendations, and they were very accommodating to most of them. So I say the things that you pretty much have to know as of Monday are a few things that every single business, including the Chamber, the Hardin County Chamber, all has to comply with. The first big thing is masks. We all know that as of May 11th, as of Monday, every Kentuckian really should wear a mask when you're out and about. And so, but this can be a little bit not quite as easy for some industries, or I'm here in my office with the door closed. There's no one in here. I have my mask right here by my desk so that if I get up and go to the kitchen, I can put it on. So we wanted to make sure there was some leeway there. So we're now happy to say that with the mask requirement, there you go, keeping everybody safe. That if you're in your office in an enclosed space, you don't have to wear your mask. You can just make sure you're wearing it when you're walking around the building. Or if you're working kind of by yourself, but further away than 6 feet from someone. A lot of businesses are going to kind of the open concept model, and you're very far away from someone, but you're still at a desk all day. And so you don't have to wear the mask when just kind of sitting and working alone at your desk. But when you get up and about, put the mask back on. Also, we heard from a lot of our distilleries that come June, July, to be working in those big warehouses with no air conditioning and masks, and the smell of mash could actually be a health hazard. So if it's a hazard to your health to wear a mask, you don't have to do it. So those are some of the changes. So just know that every employee really should have a mask on their body at all times, whether it's in a pocket or on their face. But if you're working independently in your office with the door closed or further than 6 feet away from someone, that is okay according to the executive order. Another thing is hand sanitizer. We all need to be providing hand sanitizer in our workplaces. The nice thing about being the bourbon state is that there is a common ingredient in both bourbon and hand sanitizer, and that is alcohol. And so our distilleries have been really amazing and have retooled what they do to make sure that all Kentucky businesses have hand sanitizer if they need that, and we can kind of help provide that. It's been a great partnership with the Chamber and the Distillers Association. And then really the other big requirement that we're making sure people know about, because it was kind of at the bottom of the list, it's not something that you normally think of, but it's a health screening. So any employee that goes into a place of business as of Monday has to do a health screening. And so at first it was every employer would have to take the person's temperature and ask them questions every day before they walked into the building. We talked to a lot of employers, a lot of manufacturers, especially with thousands of employees, who said, really, that's not a practical way to go about doing it. So what now, according to the executive order, you can do is take your own temperature at home and fill out a health screening, whether it's on your computer or on your phone, and then go into work. And it's just a few simple questions. Have you exhibited any of the signs of coronavirus? Have you been around someone that has coronavirus? Has anyone in your household tested positive? And so how we did this at the Chamber is basically we created a Survey Monkey that is 3 small questions along with your name and your temperature. And you just fill that in when you get to work every morning or from your phone. And that way you've done your duty of filling out the health screening. It's free. It's pretty easy for employers to make track of. We also heard that there's a lot of apps kind of on your phone right here that you can get that are basically $5, $6 a month that you can have your employees fill it out on their phone, submit it before they come into work. So when you look at the requirements, it seems like a lot, but just know that in the past week, they really have made some big accommodations, and it's going to look different. It's going to take a little bit more effort, but we think it's worth it to make sure that businesses not only are open, but are open safely. So anyone that has questions, make sure you reach out to us. We can help kind of guide you through some of those requirements.
Yeah, the sector-specific guidelines can be found on your website, right?
Correct. And they're also on healthyatwork.ky.gov. We did, from the chamber's point of view, do sector specific recommendations that we gave forth to the governor. And so all kind of chambers we hope are included in that as well. Consider those, your recommendations as well. So there have been recommendations laid out for construction and manufacturing, office space. So, and all of them look a little different. So make sure you get familiar with those before you reopen. But there are kind of the main things that every single employer are going to have to follow in addition to sector-specific requirements.
Wonderful. Now, during this time, the businesses that were classified as life-sustaining, have there been any major changes to how they are to provide their service?
So that's been a kind of a great question and a point of a little bit of confusion, because if you think about it, I'm sure in E-Town, there are many in Hardin County, many manufacturers that have remained open. I know banks have remained open, but not the lobbies. There are various industries that have remained open. And so how does that change for them going forward? They now have to comply with all of these guidelines. So though they've done a wonderful job in the last 2 months of keeping their employees safe, keeping the people that, are using their goods and services safe, they do, to make sure that it's an even playing field, they do have to make sure that they are meeting those essential kind of basic requirements as well. So the masks, the sanitizers, the social distancing, the health screenings, all of that will need to apply to them as well.
Got it. Now, there are time frames as of May the 9th, which started with the places of worship for reopening, that run to July 1st. There's a whole series of these things. Has your task force, has the governor's office gotten beyond that at any point? Do you know, beyond July? Because if I may, I'll just take a second. As you mentioned, there's construction, there's horse racing, manufacturing and distribution, office-based, pet grooming, boarding, photography, government offices, funeral and memorial services, restaurants, outdoor seating, cosmetology businesses. It goes on. And that is on your website too, I'm assuming. People can check. And by the way, viewers, it's on the Hardin County Chamber of Commerce website. And if it's not directly on the our chamber site, all you have to do is click on the Kentucky Chamber and go there, and you can find that. So is July 1st pretty much as far out as they've gotten?
We think so, and the governor's worked very closely with us on this time frame and explained the reasonings of why things are later and things are sooner. One thing that I know is a question to many of us that have children, that we are still homeschooling and working, and summer is right around the corner. There are no pools on this time frame. So that's a question we've gotten a lot of, is what are the kids supposed to do this summer? But the pool question is still one that is left up in the air. We're hoping that will be in July. But starting May 9th with churches, there is a pretty distinct time frame of every couple of days, more and more businesses will reopen. And we really encourage that phased in approach, because that's kind of how business was shut down, in a phased in approach. And what we've heard from members, and I'm sure you've heard from Hardin County members as well, is that most businesses need about 2 weeks to reopen. They need some time to get their employees back in, to sanitize and deep clean their office space. The supply chain is an issue. It's not like you can just flip a switch and all of a sudden get everything that you need for your restaurant or your retail store. And so they need some time to really prepare. And so I think this time frame gives businesses enough time to start preparing and get back to work, and also seeing how things go. See how, in a couple weeks, if cases go up, if the number of deaths go up, and all of that. It's kind of a phased in approach. But I think some of the dates that people really want to know about, restaurants, are going to be May 22nd, and that's going to look a lot different. It's only 33% capacity. So just think that's 1/3 of the people that can normally be at your Cracker Barrel or at your Rafferty's or whatever restaurant. Only 1/3 of the people can be there. So I know many restaurants are still saying, make sure that you order takeout because we really still need that business. So even though it's going to be really fun to go back to a restaurant and you're going to be kind of spread out, make sure that you still are ordering takeout from your local establishments to keep them going. Another date. Oh, and here's my 7-year-old daughter in the background as well. Like I said, work-life balance is pretty much out the window right now. This is Emma. Sorry. She's 7. That's okay. Why don't you go do your homework? She's doing some homework in a conference room across the hall. Cosmetology services. I know that all of us are wanting a haircut and all that stuff. So that's May 25th. Campgrounds, June 11th. Childcare, June 15th. Now that's a really big one because it's almost like a puzzle. You're bringing people back to work, but there's no childcare available. And so, as you can see by what just happened here, it does leave a lot of question as to what do people do if their children really can't come to work with them or they don't have family members around to help watch them. The childcare issue for us, we think, is probably the biggest kind of impediment to getting everyone back to work. And so we're working with the governor's office closely on the childcare issue. And he's actually encouraged businesses. You're already going to be at your place of work. You're interacting with those same people. And so if you can bring your children to work, or even if you can hire a babysitter and set up a conference room for several kids, it's kind of an unorthodox type of way, but that will help get us through that next month or so. So we're all just going to have to be creative. But I do think from what I've seen in the last couple of weeks when these dates have come out, is I've seen really, I think, a positive attitude with businesses, knowing that the horizon's in sight. We have dates that we know that we can reopen. They're getting ready. They're getting their workforce back. And so I think the positive attitude really has returned to thinking the end is kind of in sight of this and that we'll get back to business soon. So hopefully a lot of optimism with hope, opening up business in the next couple of weeks.
Within this time frame, there is the retail component. And I got a question from the manager of the mall here, enclosed mall, as to what sort of guidance perhaps he should get, which brings me to the question of if after checking your website, their business is not one of these sectors, what do they need to do to try to get reopened? Don't they need to provide some information to
They really don't. There was a little bit of a misconception and miscommunication, and the governor's office clarified it. At the very beginning, there was a website where basically he said businesses who want to reopen need to apply. We were very strongly against that, knowing that there are I think 60,000 businesses in Kentucky. And so a lot of them just would not know how to apply, what they would need to do, maybe wouldn't even have the resources to apply. And so now it's really just sectors. And so there's nothing that individual businesses need to do at this point. Most of the associations, so the Retail Association, the Restaurant Association, the Chamber, we're all kind of doing that legwork for everyone to kind of give a blanket cover. What has been kind of a little bit of a slower process is the requirements coming out for many people on the list. So the manufacturing components, the minimum requirements, construction, all of which went into effect on Monday, they weren't actually on the website in final form until Sunday evening. Doesn't give a lot of time for businesses to comply. So we are still working on restaurant and retail. And I know some of the questions are enclosed retail, like a mall. How does that happen? Can you require customers to wear masks? I think the answer to that is yes. For restaurants, how many people will be allowed to be in a seating together, whether it's 6, 8, 10, what that number is. So we are working on those guidelines right now. The governor's office had a call with us yesterday about some of these questions. So I really hope that they're out this week so that people do have more than 24 hours a time frame to get back up and running. So there is nothing official yet. We wish there were, but hopefully that will be soon. But I think the minimum is basically any forward-facing business, so a retail, restaurant, anytime you're interacting with the public, you'll need to be wearing masks. You'll need to try to social distance. And you can, as a business, say that you require a mask before entering. So those are some of the main questions that we've had thus far.
Right. requirements for PPE masks, disinfectant, hand sanitizer. I know that you all have a program you may want to speak to about the necessary items. You mentioned the hand sanitizers and the distillers. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Because I know that too is on your website as to how they can go about getting those supplies.
Yeah. I always say PPE is something that we say so easily now. It rolls off of our tongue. And 2 months ago, none of us knew what PPE is. Now it's just a common acronym. But all businesses, that's really one of the main questions we've had is what PPE do we need to have at workplaces and how do we get it? And so a couple weeks ago, the governor's office called and said, we're really concerned about small businesses in particular being able to access that PPE they need to reopen. And we want to make sure they have all this as quickly as they can so they can get back up and running. And so they asked us to kind of do a mask program. And I know you have a mask program as well at the Hardin County Chamber with Kerr, which is wonderful. Buy local, buy your masks from your members. But what we're doing just for a couple weeks is basically selling masks here at the Kentucky Chamber for those small businesses, really in particular across the state, that did not know how to go about getting masks.
Right.
So we're selling them for $1 a piece in boxes of 50. We're shipping them anywhere in the state, but we're also doing hand sanitizer. It's very difficult now if you go to a Kroger or Walmart or wherever to find hand sanitizer. And so the distillers are producing that. And we have a website, kyhandsanitizer.com, where any business in Kentucky can go and basically say, I need how many gallons of hand sanitizer, and it comes in gallon containers. So you as an employer kind of have to split it up, but it's kind of a win-win. You as the businesses get to have hand sanitizer, and you're also helping these local distilleries stay afloat, keep their people on the payroll, and provide a really great service. So it's something I think cool that only probably Kentucky is doing, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
But masks and hand sanitizers really are the ones that businesses really need to have before they reopen, and we can help with that. We shipped out, I think, about 400,000 masks last week.
Good
This will
gracious.
probably be our last doing it. We're doing about 400,000 more, and then we'll probably be out of the mask business. Our goal, like the governor said, was to get businesses up and running as quick as possible, as safe as possible, and then kind of let, other businesses take over for that. But what we've been trying to say is whatever we can do to help businesses get back open for business, that's our goal. And if it means masks and hand sanitizers, that's what we're going to have help to provide. But those two things in particular, I would say if you're a business and you do not have access to those, you really need to get that before reopening.
Your visitor is returned.
Yeah. She's modeling a mask right now too. She's not camera shy. I don't know where she gets it.
That's nice. Hi, Emma.
Say hi.
Hello. There's a whole lot more to cover, but we have not talked about, and could you briefly tell us some of the highlights of the, I guess, abbreviated legislative session that just ended not too long ago? Maybe tell us the top line legislation that the chamber supported or thinks is most important, et cetera. Could you do that?
Yeah. And so usually when I come to talk to you all, it is about really legislation and policy. And but this year it was a little different. We did have a legislative session in the middle of all this. So if you think about COVID-19, it was about March 13th that all that hit. And it was really the end of session when most of the work usually gets done. So on a kind of a high level, there was a COVID-19 recovery bill that did help and kind of codify, put into statute some of the governor's executive orders. It also helped put some protective language in for manufacturers who are making this PPE kind of as a good Samaritan type of law to make sure that they're protected. We also passed a 1-year budget. Usually it's a 2-year budget, but a 1-year budget because the economy is just so uncertain right now. We do know we're going to be about $500 million in the red for this year at best case scenario. So they're doing a 1-year budget just to get us through till next year. But we did pass some stuff for the distillers where you can basically ship some of your favorite spirits. And I think no better time than being quarantined. Would that come in handy? So a lot of our distilleries are happy with that. We also, from the chamber perspective, passed something called Recovery Through Employment. We really want to encourage employers across Kentucky to be second chance employers, to hire people that maybe have been incarcerated or have been, struggling with addiction and are really needing that second chance. And so with this bill, it kind of sets up the framework on how to do that, and also to not have kind of that liability on the employer. That's always been the big concern, is we want to do the right thing, but we're worried that if something happens, we'd be held responsible, be held liable. So that was a pretty great bill that we were able to pass the last couple of days of session. Those are just a couple of the things we passed. We passed some bills relating to foster care to make sure that kids who are in foster care, their education records can go with them so they can learn in the most efficient way possible. So it was a weird session. There weren't really these huge bills that passed. We were very involved with the infrastructure investment bill, which basically means a gas tax. But when you're in the middle of a pandemic, raising the gas tax probably isn't the best thing to do. But we were able to raise the tax on vaping products to be the same as the cigarette tax, which I think is a win for not only health, but also for the state budget. But other things like gaming, sports wagering were not able to see the light of day, because it was just a really weird session. And in the end, only a couple bills passed. They wanted to make sure the budget got passed and a couple other high priority bills.
Any conversation about the possibility of a special session if this calms down, or?
It's definitely heating up, and I think they're just trying to figure out if they could do it safely and all kind of congregate. There are 138 members of the legislature, but at the end, they were voting remotely from their office, and so they were able to kind of make it work. But we have heard rumblings of a special session. The governor is the only one that can call that. But with budget shortfalls the way they are, I do think we're all going to have to kind of look at to get new revenue to make sure that our basic public functions of school and public safety and infrastructure are funded. And so there is definitely talk about kind of another recovery bill, whatever that would look like. Our unemployment system, we have about 1/3 of our citizens on unemployment insurance right now. That's taking a huge hit to the system. And so there are some really big issues that probably do need to be tackled before next January when the legislature comes in. So I would not be surprised at all that if we do go into a special session at some point, maybe this summer.
To wrap it up, anything else we missed? Any final notes or comments from you?
I think you've covered it great. There's just lots of questions. And so just know that the Hardin County Chamber is a resource where we want to be a resource. Whatever questions you may have, please let us know. That's why we are here. We're here to make sure that business can get back up and running as quickly and safely as possible. It's a lot to navigate. And so just know you're not in this alone. There are those of us that are working around the clock to make sure that you have the resources that you need. And so as a native Hardin County, please know that you can always call on me if you have any questions or comments or concerns. But we are working really closely, I think, with the governor's office to make sure that for businesses, we can get back up and running. This has been a huge hit on our economy. We know this. But I think if you look at the last 2 months, the business community has done everything in their power to make sure that all Kentuckians have remained safe, even though many of them have had to close their doors, lose some of their livelihood. And we have been really good stewards, I think, of our communities. And so I know that businesses are going to be responsible moving forward. They want to keep everyone safe. They want to keep their employees safe, their patrons safe, but we also need to get the economy back up and running. And I think the Kentucky business community can absolutely do that.
Yeah. Ashli, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your enthusiasm. It's been fantastic seeing you and talking with you.
Nothing like a pandemic 5 months into a job, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, and we will be having a separate introduction, Ashli became president last September. So I guess about the time you were learning some of the new duties, you got this new, we've never seen it before duty.
Right.
But anyway, you all are doing a great job. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today, and hope to see you again soon.
Yes, absolutely. Hope to see you all soon, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our friends at the News Enterprise have created a new program for our locally owned businesses called the Community Pandemic Relief Program, or CPR. It's to help our businesses as we do this reopening get their message out, get the information about when they're going to be open and anything and everything having to do with that reopening. The key components of the program are you would get a free 1/8 of a page ad. And by the way, you don't have to be a previous News Enterprise customer. They also have, through the end of June, you will receive $1 free of advertising for every dollar that you spend. So if you want to get more information, there are a couple of things that you can do. One is go to the News Enterprise homepage online, and it's right at the top. You click on that and it opens it up, and then you fill out that information and you're good to go. Or contact Aaron Hahn directly, the advertising director at News Enterprise, and that's E. Hahn, H-A-N, excuse me, at thenewsenterprise.com, or call her direct at 270-505-1409. Sounds like a great opportunity to get the word out. And now we'd like to hear a few brief comments from our primary and secondary sponsors.
To all of you who don't know me, my name is Brandy Garcia. I am the Community Sales Director for Atria. As one of the senior living communities in Elizabethtown, I just wanted to take this opportunity provided by the Chamber to address what we have been doing since the very beginning of COVID-19 to protect not only our residents, but our employees as well. Atria quickly implemented a Stage 5 protocol, which is ultimately a full community quarantine that requires twice daily temperature checks for all residents and 3 times per shift temperature checks and symptom screenings for all employees, in addition to reinforced staff training for basic safety protocols. But we have also started testing all staff members, and I am very proud to say that all of us at Atria Elizabethtown have tested negative. In addition, we are also safeguarding our residents by screening all essential visitors that come into the community. We realize how difficult it is for our residents to be quarantined, and we are doing everything possible to keep them engaged. We are doing this through a wide range of activities that consist of life learning, fitness, inspiration, and spirituality to creative expression. And thanks to technology, we are able to keep our families in touch with their loved ones through a range of platforms. These consist of FaceTime, Skype, and Zoom. Life has changed for all of us, but we are going to get through this together, and we are going to be better than we were before. So thank you to the Chamber for allowing us to be the primary sponsor, and I look forward to seeing all of you very soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Hi, everyone. Jana Clark from eTown Tourism here. We're honored to be one of your sponsors today. We look forward to when we can be with you in person. But until then, here's a short message from us.
In May, we celebrate National Travel and Tourism Week. We're rooting for you as you stay healthy at home. In eTown, we want you to know that we're waiting for you when you're ready. And in the meantime, be well and know that we're in this together.
Thank you again, sponsors. We greatly appreciate it. Can't do it without you. Hey, folks, don't forget to like, share, or comment during the live stream so that you'll be entered into the door prize drawing. And we'll be announcing that winner, I'm guessing, probably later this afternoon. So thank you all for joining us. Look forward to seeing you. Hopefully June the 10th will be our next luncheon. Probably going to be a virtual luncheon, but appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate our guests. Again, our sponsors, everybody. I do want to say a special thanks to Heartland Communications for all their hard work in putting this together. They do such a great job, and we certainly couldn't do it without them because I am technologically ignorant. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Be safe, stay healthy.